Want help to grow your business? Download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.
Hi, I'm Jesse Forrest.
And I'm Kate Toon.
And welcome to Write for Business. This is a show that teaches you how to write the right words to attract more sales, leads, and customers. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to write a sales page that converts. That might be a page where you sell a product, a service, or really anything of value.
That all up in a minute, but before we get stuck in, Jesse, who are your business idols? Who do you really admire in business?
Oh, there's been so many, but I would say the one that really made me feel like I could be a copywriter was probably Richard Branson, because he dropped out of high school and I did quite poorly in high school. So he gave me that confidence to think, well, if he can write a book, then certainly I can write some copy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
So today's episode is all about how to write a sales page that converts. Now, we'll add to that, you don't have to be a brilliant copywriter to write a sales page. You can take what you learn in this episode and really get a good understanding of how to do it as well. Okay, so what is a sales page? Let's start with the very foundations of it all. So my definition, I guess, is a sales page is a web page or landing page focused on selling a product, a service, software, seminar, really anything of value, as I said earlier. Would you have the same definition there, Kate?
Yep, absolutely. E-course, that seems to be the one that I do most of all.
Yeah,
so,
you do have a few.
Anything that's selling, really. Would you count a product page for an e-commerce site as a sales page?
Absolutely. If it's selling something, asking for money, even giving away something for free can often be a sales page. Although, you could say if you're selling, then it's a sales page.
Yep.
Speaking of your e-course sales page,
Gosh,
she read my mind.
That's me with the spoon.
The reason I show this, aside from being a great sales page, is if people want to go check out, and see all of these elements we talk about in this episode, preferably after the episode, go and see if you can point out all of the things we've mentioned. This is a great example of a sales page.
It's so funny that you say that, because although that is selling my course and it's quite a high value course, I've never considered it as a sales page.
You thought of it as a landing page.
I don't know what I thought of it as. I think there is a misconception that sales pages need to be very hard sell, very American, very, kind of like the shopping channel style thing.
Yeah.
I, as an English person and secondarily an Australian person, we're kind of a bit more subtle. So I've never considered this a sales page, but of course it is. What am I talking about?
Sales, of course,
And it probably has some of the elements we're going to cover off today, but I hadn't really thought of it as a sales page.
Recipe for SEOsuccess.com.
Yes, I never thought about
is where people can find that if they want to have a look. Got a good video there as well, which is great for sales pages.
And this one's your one,
Now, this is selling obviously a service, but up there in the corner you can see portfolio. So I have a huge portfolio of sales pages, none of which are my own. Actually, one is my own. But if people want to see lots of examples in lots of different industries, they can go to copywritingcrew.com.au. Just check out the portfolio and you'll see some examples of sales pages. Okay, so why are they important? I think, why write a sales page? A lot of the principles we're going to talk about today, we're going to walk people through a formula for writing a sales page, and that is based on a sales formula. So, any good salesperson is probably following a formula of selling that is going to be overcoming objections and doing what they need to do to build rapport and whatever. So what we're showing today is a sales page formula. We're going to walk people through it, and by the end they'll know how to do it themselves. Another reason to why sales pages are important, because often they address the concerns or the objections that the prospect or the visitor might have.
Yes.
So an FAQ section on a sales page is a great idea, especially if you're asking questions that your prospects are probably wondering.
Right.
Can't I just learn all this myself? And why are you an expert on the subject matter? And some blunt questions, but by having those, definitely helps to increase conversions. So that's why they're important. Another thing is, in some industries and in some tests, longer form sales pages have outperformed short, pithy, really small sales pages. It doesn't work every single time. I'm not going to say that anyone who has a longer sales page will get more money, more conversions than a shorter sales page, because you can't make that claim. But a lot of the times, a page is as long as it needs to be in order to sell.
Yes.
You know, no shorter and no longer than it is.
It's funny that you bring that up because with the page that we talked about before, which is the landing page of my site, I've had a lot of people look at that and go, there's too much on there. It's too long. Why don't you split everything up into separate pages? And I have done that. I've experimented, but having everything on the one page works. I'm not sure if you're going to take us through why.
We are going to talk about,
cool.
in the troubleshooting section, why are some of these sales pages so long? Do people even read all of that much copy? I get it when I'm presenting. You know, it's a question that comes up all the time, and we've certainly got some answers to give them for that. But definitely test, if you've got a short sales page or a landing page, test having a longer one, answer some more of the objections. And again, we'll cover that later in this episode. Okay, so who should have a sales page? I really think anyone selling something should have a sales page. And there is, unfortunately, and we have to address it, this whole, you know, selling or sales is a dirty word. And, you know, you don't want to be a salesperson. Well, everybody sells at one time or another. I know we just finished recording another episode on the psychology of persuasion and the 5 different principles of persuasion. And again, we preface saying you don't have to be, you know, a salesperson in order to use these things. Everyone needs to sell themselves at one stage or another.
Exactly.
So anyone selling something, but obviously anyone, you know, with something to sell, like a business owner, a startup, an entrepreneur, things like that. Okay, before you get started, Kate, what is one of the tenets that we harp on about in every episode about copywriting?
Understand your audience.
Understand your audience.
So do your research into your target audience and get to grips with I call it the BDFs, the beliefs, desires, and fears, but you can also call it problems, desires, and fears. Similar approach.
Similar thing, same approach, well, similar approach, different way to skin a cat. But we cover that in detail so in all the other episodes, so we won't harp on about in this episode. So today, again, you'll learn a 7-step...
Oh, 7 steps.
Something about the word 7.
I like it.
Do you know when you say to someone, okay, choose a number between 1 and 10, 1, 2, 3, go, most people will say 7.
Really?
Try it at home with your friends and see what happens. Okay, so 7-step form for writing a sales page. Let's dive into it. That's going to be the following bullet points, which you can see here. Starts with headline, ends with a final push and call to action. So we're going to be going through these 7 steps right now.
And do they have to be done in this exact order?
No, they don't. And in fact, I will say there's probably, you know, I have a report I published a long time ago called the 13-step sales page blueprint.
Right.
This is only 7. You know, there's different articles out there. There's different ways there's different steps.
I like this, so it's simple and straightforward and achievable.
Yeah, and we're just covering the most fundamental.
Core ones,
but there's certainly more we could add. Okay, headlines. Wow, we have a whole episode on headlines over on the BRiN app, obviously. In another episode, people can watch if they want an in-depth view on headlines. Obviously, it's the most important element, and what I'm going to do now is walk people through 3 specific headlines they could use for sales pages.
Yeah, because I do think headlines vary. In the previous episode, we talked a lot about headlines for blog content, which maybe isn't quite as salesy. It's content marketing. It's more about informing and helping. But these are going to be more sales focused.
These are more sales
right?
focused,
okay,
indeed.
Great.
And there's also simple ones that most industries, most business owners could use. Okay, so the first one is a template. I'm going to give them a template and then an example. So this is what you fill in, and this is a filled in one, so people can learn from both as well. Okay, so how to achieve benefit results. So the red part in the parentheses is where the parameters is where people are going to fill in their own information unique to their business. How to achieve benefit or a result in a time frame, even if you have this kind of problem.
Nice.
So here's what that might look like. And this could be used for really any sales page, I believe, if you have those elements. How to attract your first copywriting client in just 14 days, even if you're a beginner. So that's actually a headline I've used in selling one of my products, not for business owners, more for aspiring copywriters, but it's done very well. And again, it follows that proven formula.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, number 2 example is one I found on a very popular bookkeeping software website. And this is problem is hard, your product or service makes it easy.
Yeah.
So very simple, very easy, very straightforward. It was from FreshBooks. So managing your finances is hard, FreshBooks makes it easy.
I think I've actually used that one on my page by accident.
Oh, right.
I think I've got SEO is hard. The recipe for SEO success makes it easy.
Absolutely.
That wasn't. I'm sorry, FreshBooks. I'll go and change that immediately.
I don't think they own the rights on that template. But I have a friend who has online marketing is hard.
It's the comparison as well.
Absolutely.
So hard, easy. Yeah, comparison in a headline works really well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so the third template here is say goodbye to common problem, say hello to desired outcome.
Nice.
I've seen this a lot of places. It's certainly as old as the hills and it's been used and borrowed everywhere.
Yep.
One I just made up before today was say goodbye to pimples and hello to beautiful clear skin. I could have used a product like that when I was a lot younger. I had terrible acne.
Ew.
Can't imagine it looking at this pretty
I
face.
don't want to know.
Yeah, so they're 3 examples,
Great
templates, examples, made them really easy so that most people could use them on their sales pages. Okay, we're going to break now, and the next section of this episode, we're going to talk about the PAS formula, what that stands for, what it means, and how people can use it to write the next few parts of their sales page. You're watching Right for Business. We'll see you after the break.
Hi, you're watching Right for Business. My name's Kate Toon, and this gentleman here is Jesse Forrest. Today, we're talking about how to write sales pages that convert, and you're just about to explain to me what PAS stands for.
Yes, the infamous PAS or PAS formula. Paz is actually my older brother. That's his nickname.
There
Paris.
you go.
Yeah. So PAS, so what does that stand for? What does it mean? Before I get to that, so Kate, let me ask you, when do people usually run out and buy a security system for their house?
Just after they've been burgled.
Yeah, exactly.
Did I give the right answer?
You gave the perfect answer. We didn't rehearse that, did we?
We did not.
So, that says something about human nature. And often, the saying goes, and I know Tony Robbins has said this in the past, if anyone's followed him at home, but people are more likely or are more motivated to avoid pain than gain pleasure. An example of that is, come January, over Christmas break, people have, packed on the kilos and they're like, I need to go to the gym. We don't tend to sign up to the gym when we're fit and healthy and looking fabulous. It's when we're probably a little bit overweight and we're thinking, geez, I need to get in shape. It's the same with, security. We think about it after the pain has occurred. So that starts with the PAS formula, because the first one is identify the problems of your target audience, and people do that through research. Then agitate the problem. So that's the A that should be.
To continue enjoying this presentation, download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.